This episode will not end until we reach the next size. The local to global has entered a new era as Killer Kelly has made her long-awaited return to Strong Style Americas, as the Amsterdam era original has returned to take what's rightfully hers, the Strong Style Women's Championship, and the killer name from the previously unbeatable Killer Kai. Oh, and like I said, this episode will not end until we finally get to the next size. But before we get there, make sure you drop a like down below as we once again look for 200 likes to get the next episode as soon as possible. Head over to Patreon where you can gain access to the save point that we're starting at today, post Strong Style 20, and head over to TEWDB.com and use the banner at the top of the page to buy TEW IX if you haven't already done so. And we start off this episode where we left off in the last one, that being at the end of Strong Style 20 Night 2. And this closing segment got a 34. Of course, Killer Kai and Killer Kelly come face to face for the first time. And the main event itself between Nicole Matthews and Killer Kai got a 51 rating to finish off the show. And we end off with a 49 overall, which is pretty solid. However, you'll notice there at the bottom, we didn't go up in popularity, which means that Strong Style Night 1, we actually maxed out the popularity that we could earn this month, which is a shame, but it does tell us that selling tickets at very low price once a month is optimal for gaining popularity and making money. And we're going to address the locker room and compliment the losers of the matches. So Killer Kai will be praised for a great performance, and so will, I think, Josh Cody, who was on the losing side of the triple threat junior heavyweight match, and both of those are pleased. And in terms of financials, we only lost 621 on this show, but of course we'll make that back as the month rolls on and as our sponsorship money comes in. But for size, we didn't actually go up. We were hoping to end the last episode at 17, but yeah, we're stuck at 15 for now. I don't think we're going to end this episode at insignificant size. I think we are pretty much guaranteed to close out with a tiny wrestling company with 17 popularity in the Mid-South. And now let's get back to the events of the last episode and Strong Style 20, where we signed Killer Kelly. So let's sort of break down everything about her deal with the company and stuff like that. So she is coming in as a babyface to work with the heel Killer Kai, as you would probably expect. She has a killer gimmick which has debuted as Adequate, which isn't too bad. Obviously that can be better, but we'll work on that as we go forward. She's currently happy, which is good. This due to her new contract. And speaking of the contract, she's currently on $220 per show, which makes her quite easily our highest paid wrestler. Actually, not by much behind the Butcher, to be honest. But yeah, she is our highest paid wrestler right now. In terms of skills for primary, her best attribute in the ring is 68, so she's coming in as a technical wrestler, but she can brawl and she's pretty good at Puro as well, which all of that fits our style perfectly. 61 psychology, so something to be worked on there, but still it's pretty high. For charisma, she's got 75, and for star quality, she's got 70 with sex appeal of 82 as well, so some solid performance skills as well. In fundamentals, she's got it all down, so basics is 76, consistency 77, safety 82, so we don't have to worry about her injuring anybody, and her stamina is 86, so she can have long matches as well, and she's also athletic, tough and resilient. For attributes, she's better as a heel, but like I say, she is coming in as a baby face. She's down as a career woman, which means she won't get pregnant, but that doesn't quite make sense because she's just came back from maternity leave after having a baby, but yeah, so obviously that's something that the mod maker hasn't updated, I suppose. She's a fitness fanatic, so she will always be in shape. She's not up for doing stunts, but she is a people person and has a positive backstage impact, and she plays a few types of gimmicks well as well. Her current killer gimmick is badass, which means she will sell more merchandise, but she will be penalized if she loses to a comedy gimmick and for taking part in basically anything comic related, which she wouldn't be doing anyway. But that's the contract of Killer Kelly, but we actually need to offer Trish Adora a contract because obviously we discussed it in the last episode. We were trialing her for the remaining duration of her contract and she's impressed, so we will be making her signing permanent. So let's get that done now. She's currently on 80 per show, so we're going to offer her that. She won't want to go any lower than that because it's a pay decrease. In fact, we need to apply the template as well, so we'll go 80 and just basically try and leave everything as it is. She does want a higher cut of merch, so we'll offer 5 and I'll try 10, and that deal is done. And there's another contract offer that I want to make as well. And this time we're going to be making our first foreign signing of somebody that's based in a different country. Now, I think for pretty much the duration of this series, I've been under the belief that signing anyone from another country would cost $200 for travel. However, Gen Z Mackenzie has let me know in the comments that I've been misreading this, and it's travel between game areas costs $200 except between USA and Mexico, USA to Canada, and Britain to Europe. So basically bordering regions, where it costs $100, which means I've done some scouting off camera or off screen, and I've found literally one of the best, I think, wrestlers on the game, and his name is Villano III Jr. This guy is the son of famous luchador Villano III. He's only 27 years old at the time of this save. He's currently unable to negotiate because, as I say, he's in Mexico and does not work in the United States. But incredibly, he does have 82% prestige on his mask, so that is something we can work with when we start to bring in mask versus mask matches or mask versus hair or whatever sort of stipulation, and that is definitely something that we need to start bringing in more. We haven't really took advantage of that aspect of our product. As I say, he is one of the best wrestlers I've seen on this game, and let me show you why. So, his aerial ability is 79. Technically, he's 72. He's flashy as well when he does it at 75, and he's got great psychology at 76, experience 100. So yeah, everything there is amazing for the age of 27. Charisma 67, so decent. Acting 70, so pretty good there as well. But it's his fundamentals that really makes him a standout. So his basics at 86, consistency 85, safety 86, and stamina 73. And now that's 4 skills that are blue, which means they're very good. And if we have a look at his recent news as well, he actually walked out on CMLL in January 2025, so over a year ago, and he's been inactive since. So I think we should be able to persuade him to at least work in the United States, if not move here eventually. So we're going to try that now. We're going to ask him to do both things. But before we do that, let me just take a quick look at his attributes. And there's a lot to see here as well. So he's 100% heel, and he would struggle to play babyface. So that's very interesting. And his name is Villain, so, you know, you would probably expect that. He can't play badass, can't play dominant, but he's driven and is extremely focused about having the best career possible. He has no natural impact on the backstage environment. Negative morale has no effect on him. He has a reduced chance of being involved in any sort of backstage interactions and will rarely be unreliable. So basically he just keeps himself to himself. He's focused on just being the best he can, which is perfect. He's fearless, so he will do crazy and stunt bumps if we need to pop a rating, I guess, which is good to see as well. And he plays a good amount of gimmicks well as well, but he can't do comedy matches, which is okay, of course. So he's got 12 years experience as well. He's based in Centro in Mexico, which would mean that we have to pay $100 to bring him in, but that would mean we only have to pay $160 in total, because somehow he's only going to cost me $60 per show. All that said, the mask, the skills, the attributes, we're going to try and sign this guy, and he could be the heel of our junior heavyweight division for a long time to come, unless he gets signed up by AAA or CMLL or WWE or AEW, or maybe even further abroad, who knows. But let's find out. So yeah, as you can see here, not active in the USA, but can we make him change his mind since he hasn't had work in a long time? So I'd like you to consider being open to work in the USA. And he said okay. Okay, good. Now we're going to ask him to move closer to Strong Style. Let's see if we can bring him to the United States. And no, he says no thank you. Okay, but what I have noticed in previous saves on TEW, if you're the person's only employer or their most popular employer, they tend to move towards you eventually. So I think we can get him to the Mid-South at some point. And speaking of the Mid-South, actually, it's one of his most popular regions, at least in the United States, where he has 21 popularity. And he's also got some there in the Southwest as well. And he's very popular in Mexico. So if we were to ever hold shows across the border, then this is the guy. So yeah, I think he could be a key asset as long as he doesn't get snapped up by one of the exclusive promotions for a very long time. So let's get him in anyway, and let's stop talking about it. We're going to apply the standard written contract template. We're even going to bump it down to 40 per show, see how that goes. I might even extend the contract a little bit more. I'm going to try 4 years, and we're going to try and do no travel, but I think he's probably going to want some, so we'll try that offer. So yeah, he wants travel expenses, so that's fine, and he wants more money. 20. Okay, so we'll try 50. And given his popularity, he wants a higher cut of merch, so we'll try 5. How about 10? And it's a done deal. Welcome to Strong Style, hopefully, unless something happens, Villano III Jr. And this is great as well because, of course, in the last episode, we saw 3 title changes in total. Every single title changed hands, and we now have a babyface junior heavyweight champion, which would be the division that Villano III Jr. is in. So yeah, a really solid signing. And I've referred to the trusty spreadsheet, and here is how it looks in terms of his overall skill. So he would be our best wrestler in the ring. So if you look there, he's got 576 total in ring ability. Our best is DiVecchio, our heavyweight champion, at 535, and for overall total 692 versus 652. So yeah, watch this space, Kevin Blackwood, who is currently our top heel in the division, and I'm really liking the way this division's starting to shape out now. Okay, so that's the contract offers, at least for now. We might do some more later in the episode as we hopefully go up to the next size of tiny. I'm pretty certain that will happen, so once we do that, we might start looking at bringing some more people in, and maybe we can try and persuade Villano to move over to the United States, but we'll see. We need to do a couple of other things. So what I want to do is sort of fix up our booking team. So we're still getting a penalty for having too many people in the room, so I want to see if we can sort of concentrate it more a little bit to just the best of the best. So I'm considering, and I'm sorry to all the Josh Cody fans out there, of removing him from the room. But the only thing that I think is going to keep him around is his chemistry with Brian Idol. So I'm sort of torn on whether to take them out because they only have 52 booking skill and 51 booking skill for both of them. And we could bring in that tomato guy, I can't remember his name now, but I think if you've been watching, you know who I'm referring to. And whilst Cody does have good chemistry with Idol, he's got bad chemistry with us. So I hate to do it, I really do. You know what? You know how I feel about Josh Cody. That's my guy right there. But you're gone from the team, unfortunately, and Brian Idol, you're gone from the team. I've just said we're done with signings. What I meant was wrestlers. We're going to bring in David Marquez, I think he was called. So we're going to search that, and there he is. We're going to bring in this guy. He will be our play-by-play analyst when we get a broadcast deal in the very near future, and he will also come in and join our booking team. So let's get that done. Never be involved in in-ring work, of course. $30 per show, and he's more than happy to come in. Without the penalty, I think he'll bring just as much benefit to the booking team as the other two did combined, because we'll have 4 people in total rather than 5. So yeah, we'll think about the future of Joe Belcastro going forward as well, because he does have poor booking chemistry with Michael Dante, which is us. So that's not ideal. But yeah, I think for now that'll do, and that'll be a good change for the team going forward, and we'll see how that helps at the next show as well. And speaking of Josh Cody, everybody keeps falling out with him because he's a morale officer. And let me refer back to the comments once again, and shout out to everybody that does comment. I always read them, and your guidance is very much appreciated. But we've got a comment from Base Up 12, and he says he refuses to use morale officers because they always end up having issues. I would have to agree at this point because I've noticed that as well. So Josh Cody, it's time to step aside, son, and we're not going to have a morale officer at this point. But let's see if we can actually fill the rest of the roles. So maybe we can get a locker room leader in now that we've got new signings. So we're going to exclude ill-suited candidates. In fact, actually, we're going to wait until we sign Villano and David Marquez, and then we'll come back to this. So let's just skip forward a little bit, and then we'll carry on the rest of the early admin for this episode. We can confirm that Trish Adora, Villano, and David Marquez are in the door now. So let's get them assigned to the relevant divisions. So we're going to put Trish Adora, of course, in the women's division, and she already is, of course, because she didn't leave the company. We also need to put Villano III Jr., potential future junior heavyweight champion, I would say, pretty much guaranteed at this point, into the junior heavyweight division. But as I say, we need to go back to the inner circle then, see if we have any suited candidates for any of the empty roles. So it doesn't look like we do. I think they would be there automatically if we did. Head of Talent Relations. Apparently Ace Steel is worthy of that role now. His intense personality is well suited to this role. Okay, Ace come in and you can have a role. I know he's upset about not being a locker room leader, and now he's head of talent relations. And we're not going to have a morale officer, of course. We're not going to have a stooge either. We should probably get a travel organizer. So the one we had obviously left. It was Jim Perry. We haven't replaced him since. So why not have Ryan Davidson? You can have the role. Welcome aboard. Okay, so that's the inner circle. And let's go back to the booking team then and add in David Marquez, who has 72 booking skill, and he is now in there. And I think Brian Idle looks to be annoyed that I've taken him off the team. How about Josh Cody? He's also annoyed. But you didn't have the chemistry, Josh. Like, I'm sorry. I really didn't want to do it. Angry at being removed from the inner circle and angry at being removed from the booking team. Look, I'll make it up to you. You'll get a win at some point. And how about Brian Idle? He looks really annoyed, very angry, irritated at being left off shows, angry at being removed from the booking team, furious at being left off Strong Style 20. So let me just check what else we need to do. So I've got this written down as well. I want to turn on the ability for the game to generate companies. So I've had this off for now because just to keep it as realistic as possible, like early on, since quite a few companies are going out of business now, and especially the UK scene has been utterly demolished by financial issues, and there's been a few in Japan and elsewhere as well. And I want to turn this on just to keep things ticking over nicely, and I think we'll start to see some new companies pop up probably in the very near future to fill those gaps. So we'll save those settings and we'll let that happen going forward. So we're actually at the end of the month now, and let's check out how our financials went for the month of May. And we didn't make quite as much money as we made in April. We only made $600 profit. That due to holding 2 shows and basically not breaking even in those shows, at least on the night in terms of ticket sales versus spend on workers. However, overall, when sponsorship for the month came in, we did make $600. Hopefully that can be improved on this month when we only hold 1 show, basically. With that said, we are back into a positive balance, the highest balance we've ever had, actually, that being $1,004. So solid stuff there financially. We do have some emails, so is there anything that we need to know about? Brian Idle has handed in his notice after being removed from the booking team. Okay, that's fine, I guess. I've noticed a lot of offers from a company called MWF. And it is a new promotion. I had a feeling it was. And this is Massive Wrestling Forever in the Tri-State. And they've put together a hell of a roster. They've got Will Hobbs, Sami Callihan, Keith Lee, Danhausen. Some impressive names on that list. And yeah, I had a feeling that the world would start to fill itself out a little bit after the demise of many promotions across the world, pretty much. And yeah, it seems though that they are handshake deals, so nothing to worry about there. Wardlow, though, I've just noticed, has his AEW contract expiring, and I don't see anything about a contract offer. And yet, indeed, he is leaving AEW, it's confirmed, and maybe one for the next couple of years or so, but I wouldn't mind having Wardlow on the roster at all. However, let's get back to Strong Style for now and make sure that we're able to put our next show on. So currently we are booked for Friday the 5th of June. That night Joshua Bishop will not be able to make it. I don't think he'd be on the card anyway, to be honest. So I think we might just keep that. It saves changing it. Yeah, we'll just leave that. I don't think Joshua Bishop's on the show anyway, so that's fine. And it seems everybody else will be able to be in attendance. So I have just simmed to the day of the show, and there's not much left to do. And I am just checking if Brian Idle is still in the company, and it seems that he hasn't left just yet. And he will be leaving in 17 days. So as we were saying basically at the start of the series when I was discussing the way we were doing contracts, we're doing written deals so people can't request raises, but it also means they can just hand their notice in if they're unhappy because it is not an ironclad contract. So there is that sort of fine balance. Basically pick your poison. But we've chose the poison of having people be able to hand their notice in, and yeah, Brian Idle is the first one to do that this series. Look, we brought him in as a bit of a utility player, somebody that can do some bits backstage. You know, he's a natural trainer, he passes on knowledge, he's a giving performer. We basically brought him in as a jobber because of that attribute right there. and he's quite happily to put people over. Basically, he's not the best in the ring, he's not the worst by any means either. He is 43 though. There's no sort of long-term plans for him to go on and win the heavyweight championship or anything like that. That might mean though that we need to replace him in this episode. We're not going to do that before the next show though, because he is still here, and maybe we might make him lose on the way out. I'm not too sure. We're not in need of that extra body immediately, but let's just check out our heavyweight division landscape lies. So yeah, we do have 4 heels in Baron Black, Brian Idol, Eric Hammer and Michael Dante, and we have 3 faces in Joshua Bishop, Mike DeVecchio and Ryan Davidson. So it actually evens things out for now. So yeah, there's no immediate rush, as I say, to replace him, but it is a shame. He's a good hand, but if he's unhappy, then that's fine. We're at the show now. As for giving people the night off for this show, let's sort it by any negative morale. I can't give the night off to people that aren't booked on the show because it's not actually fully booked yet. So I'm going to have to sort of have everyone. I don't think Rey Mysterio 4 is going to be on, so we're going to give him the night off though. Josh Cody's unhappy, but he's potentially needed. We'll see. And I might just give Brian Idol the night off. Or do I have him lose? Will he cause a stink backstage if he comes to the show? I think if he's here, he could still have a positive impact. So we're just going to take that gamble. We're going to let him come in. We might book him, we might not. We'll see. We're going to use a generic venue, though, as always. We're going to check out the pre-show incidents. And unfortunately, the ring has accidentally been sent to the wrong place. You've managed to source a replacement at short notice and the live event can still go ahead, but it's not great quality. So there's a small penalty to your overall show rating. You are joking. It's pretty cool, I guess, if it was a different promotion and not us. But still. Okay, so in terms of creative energy that we've generated, how much do we have to spend? We have 98. So we have seen a bit of a decrease actually in our overall creative energy generated with the creative team changes that we've made. And what I will do, I'm actually just going to save these points. I don't think they're massively needed right now. A big part of that, though, will be the fact that David Marquez is still on his probation period, so he loses 20% from that. So it would be a little bit higher if that wasn't the case, but that will be fine in sort of a month or so at this point. So we've got the locker room incidents, and Hala Wicked has helped create a fun and relaxed atmosphere backstage after finding a discarded karaoke machine. So he's been doing some songs there. Ace Steel's been training with Zeta Zhang and Kylie Alexa, who picked up a big win at Strong Style 20. And that's it for the locker room incidents. And now we're going to address the locker room. And I think we might do team bonding just to sort of try and get a good atmosphere back. And let's do that. And it only serves to create new tensions across the board. Great. But with that said, let me book this show. And I've booked the card in then, and let's break down what's going to be happening. So we're going to open up with the debut of Villano III Jr. And after watching a couple of clips of Villano, I know how to pronounce his name properly, and he will be taking on Cody Chun in his first ever Strong Style Americas match. Eric Hammer will take on Brian Idol in the heavyweight division. The heavyweight champion Mike DeVecchio, who won the belt at Strong Style 20, will then take on Baron Black before we main event with Kevin Blackwood, the now former junior heavyweight champion, taking on Hala Wicked. On this show, we're not going to see the aftermath of the Killer Kai, Killer Kelly segment from last month, as that one has to wait. But for now, this is more of a filler show, basically, as we slowly build that storyline going forward. We start off with the debut of Villano III Jr., and he does defeat Cody Chun in 14 minutes 38 by pinfall with a handful of tights. So of course, the villain cheating his way to his first win here in Strong Style Americas, and doing so with a great rating of 53. And I was actually expecting him to have ring rust, but apparently he doesn't. And yeah, Cody Chun got a 39, so not too bad from him. But Villano's new classic Rudo gimmick got an initial rating of great, which is of course great. The overall match got a 49, so strong start to the show. And then we go to the heavyweight bout between Eric Hammer and Brian Idol, as Eric Hammer puts Brian Idol away by pinfall in 9 minutes 45 in what will be Idol's last match for the company. Eric Hammer got a performance of 33, Brian Idol got 26, and we used a creative finish that was a big gamble, but it seems to have paid off here. I thought I may as well I'll use it on this more throwaway match, and it's worked apparently, and we got a 32 segment rating there for the mid-card match, so not too bad. And then we go to DiVecchio's first match as heavyweight champion, and of course this being non-title, and he's defeated Baron Black in 11 minutes 12. And this was a good performance there from the new champ, with DiVecchio getting 50 whilst Baron Black got 33 and 45 overall there for this one, and hopefully we can top that in the main event as well. But first, there is a segment where after the match Eric Hammer is quick to hit the ring as a sudden all-out brawl ensues with Mike DiVecchio. The two giants slug it out all across ringside before spilling into the backstage area. So it looks like Eric Hammer has his eye on the heavyweight champion. This after he defeated him recently by countout after Hammer left the building by his own choice after being dominated. But yeah, setting up a small feud between these two. I might put this in as a storyline actually. Hopefully that might boost the ratings for them a little bit extra. We'll see how it goes. But Eric Hammer apparently has a gimmick that's getting stale, so that's something we definitely need to look at. But overall, a 34 for that segment, so good stuff. And next up we go to the main event where Kevin Blackwood has competed for the first time since losing his junior heavyweight championship, and he's defeated Hallowicked in 14 minutes 12 by pinfall with a running knee strike. And Kevin Blackwood there with a great performance of 61, which is just too shy of his best ever performance for us, and Hallowicked got a 37, and Kevin Blackwood there still the MVP despite losing the title with a 54 overall rating. And we did increase our popularity in one region with a 47 overall, but of course we didn't have a very good ring tonight, and that has affected us, but still 47 overall is very good. And now let's address the locker room. So we're going to praise a couple of the losers like we always do. So Cody Churn will be pointed out as a good example. We're not going to praise Brian Idol because he's leaving, so that leaves Hallowicked or Baron Black, I believe. So we're going to praise Baron Black. Now we go to the financial report where we've only lost $174 tonight, which is very low from what we normally lose. We've brought in $800 on ticket sales there, $160 on merch. That is ever so slightly going up and up. So good stuff, and that should see us in a good position at the end of the month once our sponsorship money comes in. And in terms of popularity, we've gone up to 16, so we're now one step away from increasing in size to tiny, which is huge, and it's the first step of our journey to Titanic, or global as it used to be known. Right, so before we do anything else, let's check Eric Hammer's gimmick. And he has a shooter gimmick, which has a rating of great, but obviously the fans are getting a little bit bored of it, which is fine. So it's currently a badass gimmick. So let's see if he can do anything else. So plays badass well, dominant well, and legitimate well. So maybe we'll go with dominant. Let's take a look at the options. So we're going to go prepare, gimmick change, and we're going to get some inspiration, and we're going to do heel, dominant. So let's have a look. And we're actually going to go with the world's most dangerous man gimmick. Maybe that can be his new nickname. Of course, it used to be the nickname of Ken Shamrock, but with Eric Hammer having his own MMA roots and being 6'6", I think it's pretty fitting. So we're going to use that, and we're going to confirm that as well. So that should hopefully do well when he debuts it in the coming weeks and months, probably on the next show. And as I was looking into Villano III Jr, I noticed that he actually has a brother that's in the business as well, and he's called El Hijo del Villano III, and he's 26, so he's only a year younger than him. But yeah, he's basically the son of Villano III, whilst our luchador is Villano III Jr. And I did just want to see if we could possibly sign him at some point. But he is $800 at the minute per show, and he does still work for CMLL, but it's on a handshake deal, so we definitely would still be able to sign him. So we will shortlist him for now, and maybe someone to look at bringing in the future. Say, were we to bring in a tag division or something like that in the future, or maybe just Villano III Jr. needs backup. But from what I can see, we do have the better brother right now, despite him being so much cheaper. Right, so here we are then at the end of the month, and it's time to check out the finances. And we made record profit once again, as we did in April. We made $1,895 in total. This taking us up to $2,899 in the bank. So we're well above the red zone now. There's something I do want to look at is the creative meeting before we continue. And of course, we brought brought in Killer Kelly in the last episode, and she is our franchise player now, just ahead of Nicole Matthews, who is our new women's champion. And also in there is Mike DiVecchio, our heavyweight champion, which is good to see, and Kevin Blackwood has actually now fallen down to 4th, with Miranda Elise just behind. We still have no next big things. In terms of hot prospects, Rey Mysterio 4 is there. Talk the Talk is Nicole Matthews, Baron Black, and Rey Mysterio 4. Showstoppers is topped by Villano III Jr, which is very good to see. Nicole Matthews is in there as well, Trish Adora, Mike DiVecchio, and LJ Cleary. And for Ring Generals, Villano III Jr is in at 2nd, behind Nicole Matthews with DiVecchio, Cleary, and Blackwood in there as well. So a nice little update there with a couple of the new names being added to our creative section. And we can confirm that Wardlow has left AEW. He's still 1,000 per show though, so I'm not too sure about that. Brian Idol has officially left us, which is fine. And there's going to be one more admin change that we need to make this month. So we're normally running monthly shows, but what I expect to happen is once we reach the next size, which will happen hopefully at the next show, we will reach Tiny, of course, and I think that means that we can gain more popularity per month than what we could before. So there would be a cap where even if you ran 10 shows a month, it would hit a ceiling and you couldn't grow any more that month. So I think that cap will be risen slightly once we get to Tiny, and as I say, I hope that happens at the next show. So what we're going to do is probably now run 2 shows a month going forward. So what I might do is do it fortnightly or 2 shows back to back, like one night and then the next night. We'll see how it goes, but I think for now we're just going to set them to be every 2 weeks. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So for availability, let's see what day is just free all the time. So it looks like Tuesday isn't because of MWF, the new promotion. It looks like Monday is though. So it looks like every Monday nobody's busy. That should be the case going forward as well, and it seems to be the case. So I think that means at this point every 2 Mondays we're going to hold a show, and I think that might even mean that sometimes we run 3 shows in a month, so we might have to work around that and make sure that doesn't happen. But the next one will be scheduled for the 6th of July, which is a Monday night, every 2 weeks, and I think everything else can stay the same. We'll leave ticket pricing at default. We might up that though in the ticket settings, so the default changes. Yeah, I think we're actually going to do that. So we can make a little bit more money now, and since we're holding 2 shows a month, we don't need as much popularity gain per show because we're doing 2. And yeah, hopefully that does let us reach the cap though, and that we're not limiting ourselves. But with that said, we will go to ticket prices and set them to cheap now. And we did make good money when they were set to very cheap. And this time, so if we go to very cheap, we were charging about $5 a ticket, and it would have gone up to $6 had we stayed at very cheap once we get to Tiny. But with cheap, we're charging $7 a ticket for the next show, and hopefully when we get to 17 in the next show, there on after, it'll be $8 per ticket. So we're looking at, I would say minimum $800 per show if we see 100 people come through the door. But obviously that depends on the kind of attendances that we can bring now that the tickets are slightly increased. So we're going to stick with that, and hopefully we can grow a little bit faster now in terms of in-game time, now that we're almost 2 years into the save. But let's get to the next show anyway, where every championship will be on the line, so all of the new champions will be defending their belts, and we're going to hear from Killer Kelly for the first time. So we're at the show itself, and I've given the relevant people the night off already, and we're going to obviously use a generic venue. For the booking team meeting, let's see if we've generated a little bit more now that David Marquez is established into the team. And we generated 111 creative energy, which is pretty good. Let's check the breakdown. And I think with having 4 members of the team, despite there not being a penalty for too many people, I think we're actually making less. So it might be worth looking at yet another addition to the team at some point. But we'll leave the creative energy in the bank for now, and we'll save it for a future show. And there's been some incidents where David Marquez was brought before wrestlers' court accused of making a mess backstage, and he was found guilty by Ace Steel. And this had a small positive impact upon him, which is good. Several people have remarked that Ace Steel has been hanging out with Joey Belcastro recently, and that he's starting to have an influence. I don't know if that's good or bad, you let me know in the comments. And let's address the locker room then, as we're going to do an open forum and see if we can get some issues off people's chests. And Miranda Elise, Killer Kai, Ace Steel and LJ Cleary were given small morale boosts, which is good to see. So that's all booked in then, and we're going to see a huge night of championship matches. matches, and it'll be Nicole Matthews defending her women's championship against Miranda Elise, who was supposed to be in the Strong Style 20 Night 2 main event after Matthews and Elise drew on Night 1, but of course Elise picked up a broken heel and she was unfortunately unable to make the show. She now gets her chance at the title tonight against the woman that she drew with on Night 1. Mike DiVecchio will then defend his heavyweight championship against Eric Hammer, with the two getting into a brawl last week, and it seems that they are destined to fight forever. Killer Kelly will take on Hyan in Killer Kelly's first match back in Strong Style before we go to a Killer Kelly promo, and finally we end off with a match for the Junior Heavyweight Championship where LJ Cleary will defend against both Kevin Blackwood and Hallowicked. So Hallowicked actually defeated both Josh Cody and Cody Chun at Strong Style 20, which puts him in the match, and last month Kevin Blackwood defeated Hallowicked, which puts him in the match, and yeah, it'll be a triple threat match in the main event tonight, so let's run it. And we start off with a 45 rating there, as Nicole Matthews has defeated Miranda Elise in 14 minutes 34 by pinfall with a Vancouver maneuver, and Nicole Matthews makes defense number 1 of her Strong Style women's title. We were speaking about in the last episode how we had scrapped plans for Josh Cody, and he was supposed to get his first win at Strong Style 20, and there was also some scrapped plans for Miranda Elise, as I was mostly leaning towards her coming away as the champion after the triple threat main event. But that did not happen, and history looks very different now, as Nicole Matthews has defeated her clean tonight with a Vancouver maneuver, and this will put her out of the title picture likely, at least for the time being. And Nicole Matthews got an in-ring performance of 46, Miranda Elise got an in-ring performance of 38, and yeah, as I say, 45 to kick off the show, and it even says there they got off to a strong start, so that's good to see. We then go to the heavyweight match where Mike DiVecchio drew with Eric Hammer in 12 minutes 22 following a double countout, meaning the title did not change hands. And from what I can see, maybe the title wasn't on the line after all. We'll have to check that in the title history. I'm sure I added it. But either way, the champion has drew with Eric Hammer after a double countout, meaning Eric Hammer has a claim to a rematch, maybe in a cage or something like that, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, 37, so not too bad for a mid-card match. It's worth noting that both men were unhappy with the result, it seemed, so I had to keep both strong, which would have negatively affected their ratings. But even so, Mike DiVecchio got 47 and Eric Hammer got 32, so pretty good. And at least one of the workers in this segment has either a turn or gimmick change waiting to happen. Are you sure you wish to continue to the next segment without addressing it? So no, we need to of course change Eric Hammer's gimmick, so let's do that now. And Eric Hammer is now using the world's most dangerous man gimmick and got an initial rating of great, so that looks to have worked. And the only negatives of this gimmick seem to be that he can't do anything comedy, which wouldn't have been happening anyway, and he gets a large boost to menace during angles and may receive a bonus when booked to look dominant, which is good as well. And next up we go into Killer Kelly's return match in Strong Style, and she has defeated, as you likely predicted, Hyan in 14 minutes 22 with a super kick. And Killer Kelly got an in-ring performance of 49, so the standout of the match, but not far behind was Hyan with 42, and this got the crowd hotter. And yeah, 46 in the semi-main event tonight, which is pretty good, and hopefully things can get even better for Killer Kelly going forward. And next up we go into a promo, one of our best promos yet, 40 actually, as Killer Kelly takes a microphone after the match to address the crowd. She states that she's back home where she belongs, and adds that she will take back the Strong Style Women's Championship, but has to take down Killer Kai first and make sure that she can never refer to herself as a killer again. Kelly then addresses Michael Dante, who handed Kai the name in the first place, of course Kelly's former Hate stablemate, and she says that she'll be seeing him soon too. So is that a threat? Is that maybe a peace offering? We'll find out soon enough, but the Hate Reborn storyline has advanced with this segment, which is good. But we go to the main event then, where the junior heavyweight division shines again, as LJ Cleary has defeated both Kevin Blackwood and Hallowicked in 13 minutes 31, when LJ Cleary pinned Hallowicked, and he makes defense number 1 of his title, of course. So Kevin Blackwood carried the match in terms of in-ring performance, whilst Hallowicked was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else. So yeah, just just don't think he's on the level of the title picture now in this division. Kevin Blackwood especially, really setting the standards of this division to a different level. LJ Cleary got a 44, Kevin Blackwood got a 61, whilst Hallowicked got an in-ring performance of 35. And overall, a 54 match to close off the show. Kevin Blackwood protected by this match as he wasn't the one to get the fall, and LJ Cleary makes his first defense. And to finish off, we get a 51 rating, so good stuff. And we did increase our popularity in one region, but was it enough to take us to the next level? We'll find out in just a second. But first, let's address the locker room then. And we're going to praise Kevin Blackwood, despite not winning. He needs that morale boost after losing the match. And we'll also praise Miranda Elise for a good performance as well, and both of them are pleased. In terms of financials then, after charging low ticket prices, we got $1,106 for the gate, but we did spend more on workers, which means we lost $196 overall. But this does give us an idea of how much we should be spending per show on workers to at least break even. So for example, if we didn't have Killer Kelly, we would have probably made a profit there, with her being over $200 to bring in. In terms of popularity then, let's find out if it's time to finally go up in size, and we didn't. Still 16. Okay, one more shot. This is potentially linked to us having slightly higher ticket prices. So with 2 shows in 1 month, we should hopefully make that jump. And this episode won't end until we do reach the next size, I promise you that. And in big WWE news, Cody Rhodes has turned heel on WWE main event. So, not in the main event of WrestleMania, not at the Royal Rumble, not on Raw, not on SmackDown, on main event. Okay, very interesting decision there from Hunter Hearst Helmsley. In terms of our show though, let's take a look at how many fans we brought in. So we did bring in 158 fans, which is definitely very good in terms of bringing money in, and it will soon be $8 a ticket, so that sort of attendance is going to bring it in bank. Let's see where that compares to our highest attendance so far, and we're basically on par with where we were for attendance when we were on very low tickets, so upping it to low hasn't made too much difference. Likely helped by a higher popularity, of course, though. We need to check back to the merchandising, where we're currently in the middle of a conservative upgrade, as we discussed in the last episode, and we're now up to 45%, so we're still gaining 2.5% of progress every week at $35 per week. So we're slowly but surely getting to that level. And what I want to actually do now is find out how much we're going to be making if we were to upgrade right now. So I'll do the maths and I'll come back in just a second. So I've put the popularity of the promotion into a spreadsheet, which has worked out that we've got 56 total popularity points, basically, when you add everything together, which would mean for merchandise, we would be making $5 per popularity point. So 5 times 56, which is $280 from just popularity, plus $250 per fan at shows. So say we're doing 150 fans per show twice a month, we would be making from that purely, I think, $750. So in total, we would be making a profit if this upgrade were to go through now, I think. As I mentioned last time, we would have to pay $750 per month to actually run at this level every month. So we're currently at the last level that's free to run. But it seems that we would be turning a profit. So we would be making, of course, about $280 in profit every month from it. And right now, without the upgrade, we're making on a regular month where we would probably actually be making a little bit less than what we're making now. So if we look at May 2026, where we had 2 shows, we made $523 merchandise, whereas if we made the upgrade now, we'd be making $280 because of the cost of it. So I think we're going to keep it on conservative for now, but that's definitely something that we can speed up, I think, in the coming months once we're a little bit higher in popularity across the board. I don't think we're too far away from being more profitable by making this upgrade. And actually, I want to look at the top 100 again. We were in there before for attendances, so let's find out what our best shows are ever. So Strong Style 15 is still at number 1 there. Strong Style 17 not too far behind, and Strong Style 20 Night 1 in at number 3. So that's good. Some recent shows are starting to take up the top spots. The best match is still Kevin Blackwood versus LJ Cleary at Strong Style 15, with Nicole Matthews and Trish Adora actually coming in at second, and LJ Cleary versus Kevin Blackwood at Strong Style 20 Night 1, not too far behind the first time they met, 6 points behind to be exact. In terms of attendance, we've already looked at it. Pay-per-view buy rates, we don't have any. We don't have TV ratings, and we don't have viewership either. But still, the newer shows are starting to take up these top spots, and we're getting better and better every month, pretty much, as we continue to grow. And speaking of continuing to grow, let's make sure that there's no clashes with our second show of the month. And we will be free to go on Monday the 20th of July. So let's see how that goes. And also quickly, that Mike DiVecchio, Eric Hammer draw did go down as a defense. I'm not sure why it didn't say that in the show itself, but yeah, it was a title match. So I've given the relevant people the night off once again, and we're going to run a generic venue. And tonight's booking meeting generated 118, which I think is around the same as last month, and maybe it's time to start spending some of this creative energy. So we have 250 points stored, so it seems that that's the limit for how many you can keep in the bank, so that's definitely new knowledge gained there. So let's get it spent then. So we're going to buy some creative finishes, so that one's likely to succeed and can be used on anybody. We're going to bring in an angle idea as well, actually, a near certainty, and applies to angles involving Killer Kai, so that could come in very handy tonight actually. And we're going to get another creative finish too, and that one's likely to succeed and can be used on anyone, so that's good. Let's try a character idea so we can give someone a little bit of boost in momentum. That one's likely to succeed and can be used on anyone again, so once again that's a success. I think we'll leave the last one for now. We're not going to go to the cap of 250 at the next show, so we'll keep 70 in the bank there and continue forward. We're going to go to locker room incidents then, and Ace Steel has been training Zeta Zhang and Kylie Alexa. Rey Mysterio 4 was brought to Wrestler's Court, accused of not joining the rest of the locker room on a night out. He was found guilty and sentenced to buying drinks for everyone after the show. I wonder if that will help his personality, and it had a small positive impact upon Rey Mysterio 4. So good work there from Ace Steel, and that's all of the incidents. Now let's dress the locker room, and we might actually call out Rey. The problem is, I'm worried if he gets too annoyed, he would hand in his notice, which would basically mean we probably could never sign him again. So I don't think we're going to do that. What we'll do instead is maybe team bonding, but I think we did that one recently. A open forum we did last time, so maybe that's pull a rib. Pull a rib on someone. This has a chance of improving locker room morale and possibly making the target happier if he or she sees the funny side. Okay. So I think we've done this once before, and we did it on Killer Kai, and it went down well, I believe. Did we do Rey? Try and cheer him up a bit. In fact, who's like less annoyed? So Killer Kai is irritated, Josh Cody is annoyed, and Ace Steel is annoyed. So maybe we'll just go with Killer Kai. Hope she sees the funny side, so let's pull that. And it went down with the rest of the locker room. So let's see if it went down with her. Does she have a boost in morale? And it looks like there was no effect, which is fine. And let's apply that character idea while we're here. So I think for this one, we're going to go with Trish Adora and give her that creative idea and see how it goes. And it was a success, which has taken her momentum out of the negative zone at least, because we couldn't see her name anymore. And now she has warm momentum, so that worked well. So on this show, we're going to see Trish Adora take on Zeta Zhang, with two baby faces going at it to position themselves closer to a shot at the Women's Championship. Rey Mysterio 4 returns to the ring as he takes on Ninja Mac, who we're bringing in as a local worker for the night. Killer Kai will take on Kylie Alexa after Kylie Alexa got a big win in her debut at Strong Style 20, and then there are some post-match scenes in that one. And then in the main event, in our first ever tag match, Mike DiVecchio and Josh Cody will team up against Eric Hammer and Villano III Jr. And this isn't a sign of incoming tag team championships, but it gives us a chance for Mike DiVecchio and Eric Hammer to meet again in the ring as they continue to look to solve their differences. And it gives us a chance to use a couple of junior heavyweights as well. So yeah, it should be an interesting main event in a cross-division tag match. So let's get into the show and see how things go. And we start off with that women's match, and it's Trish Adora who gets a win over Zeta Zhang in 14 minutes 45 in a technical masterclass with a lariat Tubman. And Trish Adora got a 44, so the best performer in the match by 7 points, and Zeta Zhang with a solid 37, getting the show off to a strong start. And yeah, a good match to start off with, 44 overall. And yeah, Trish Adora working her way towards a championship match at some point if she can keep up this form. And then we go to the one-on-one match, and there's a lot of red in this one, as we... Rey Mysterio 4 has defeated Ninja Mac in 9 minutes 40 by pinfall using underhanded tactics. And Ninja Mac cracked his ribs and he had to work through the injury, and the bout dragged in the middle as well, apparently, despite only being 9 minutes 40 long. And this might be our worst match ever. I'm pretty sure it is, as Rey Mysterio 4 got an in-ring performance of 10 and Ninja Mac got a 24. But yeah, I just wanted to give Rey Mysterio 4 a win here and bring in someone local for him to do so, and it might help his morale. But yeah, hasn't gone down great. Maybe we need better opponents for him as we build up his popularity. Maybe we just scrap the project. Let me know what you think. But yeah, 11, not great, especially when we're looking to go up a size in this show. But we had a solid start, and hopefully the final 2 matches can carry us to the next size. And we're starting off well, as in a 38 rated match, Killer Kai has defeated Kylie Alexa by submission. And Killer Kai got a 42, Kylie Alexa got a solid 37, which tops the 33 that she got in her debut, so she's getting better and better there, as we anticipated. We did use that creative finish that was likely to succeed, and it failed, so that's not good. But still, a 38 is a good match, and we've got a segment left and a main event left as well. So let's see how they get on, as after the match, Killer Kai looks cautious as she seems to anticipate the arrival of Killer Kelly. Kelly then does walk out onto the ramp before storming her way to the ring. However, Michael Dante runs out from the back and stands in her way, seemingly persuading her to change her mind. But then he steps out of the way to allow the fight to happen. And then there's a big clash in the middle of the ring, and they're going at it for the first time, Killer and Killer, as Michael Dante looks on. And yeah, whose side is he on? Is he on Killer Kai's side because he knew that she'd be able to take Kelly? Or is he on Killer Kelly's side by allowing the fight to happen? Or is he neutral and waiting to see what happens, and maybe to see who the best killer is? I don't know. We'll see how it goes going forward. And yeah, the segment rating actually got a 37, which is good. The Hate Reborn storyline advanced, and Killer Kelly is getting better at her gimmick. And then she, of course, debuted with an adequate gimmick, so that's good to see. And hopefully that can start to go into the positive side towards great. But yeah, 37, the Hate storyline is starting to pick up now. Whose side is Michael Dante on? And in the main event, we get a solid match here, despite Josh Cody being rusty. In a bout that had superb wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd, Eric Hammer and Villano III Jr. have defeated Mike DeVecchio, the heavyweight champion, and Josh Cody in 15 minutes 05 when Hammer pinned Josh Cody, and he used the ropes for his leverage as well, just to make sure. And I'm sure he didn't need to, being 6'6", but you know, every little helps. And Josh Cody got a 27 because of his rustiness. Mike DeVecchio got an in-ring rating of 54. Villano III Jr., the man of the match, with a 62, and Eric Hammer there with a 39. So solid across the board. Maybe you could expect more from Josh Cody, but he was rusty, as we said. DeVecchio and Josh Cody have great chemistry when teaming together, which is very interesting. So if we were to ever bring in a tag division, maybe that's one to look at, with the powerhouse and the underdog. It could be a good dynamic, but certainly nothing that we're going to think about anytime soon. But we did get a 54 rating overall, which should help the final rating, and it did help us get to a 48, and we increased in popularity in one region. Now, is it enough finally to take us up to the next size? Let's find out. But first, let's address the locker room then, and we're going to speak to the losers. So we're going to speak to Kylie Alexa, and we're also going to speak to Mike DeVecchio, and we're going to put a good performance for both of them, and they're pleased with that. And we've got an injury review for Ninja Mac, but of course he's not on our roster, so it doesn't really affect us, but he's only out for 7 days. We lost $314, so a little bit more than last time, I believe, but we made $1,106 in ticket sales, which is very good, and $150 in merchandise merchandise, which is pretty standard. But we did spend quite a lot on workers tonight. But we still have $3,408 in the bank, and that'll be even more by the end of the month, by the time that our sponsorship fully comes in over the next 10 or so days. But this episode is all about popularity, and can we finish it off now, or will we need to run another show? Are we at 17? Let's find out. And we've done it. 17, popularity in the Midwest. Finally, we go up a size. And it's taken 24 shows if we include the roulette kickoff show. And actually 26 if you count night 2 of both Strong Style 10 and 20. And yeah, Strong Style 23 has seen us go up in size. And that is huge going forward. And there it is, it's official. Insignificant is a thing of the past. Previous size, insignificant. Current size, tiny. And that also puts us on to where we're heading next. So, next up is, of course, small size, which we need to achieve 35 popularity in the Mid-South to get there. So, it might take a little while yet in terms of episodes, but we are now running 2 shows a month, which will certainly help us going forward. And then we're on to medium, where we need 59 popularity in the Mid-South and either in the Southeast or Southwest, which we are well on our way to doing with 6 right now, due to spillover from our current region. But before we can even think about getting to small, we actually have to think about our broadcast deal, which will be happening soon now. And yeah, we're going to be on YouTube in the USA when we get to 20 popularity in one region where this broadcaster airs, so in the Mid-South. So we're now 3 jumps away from that, and hopefully we can do that in the next episode. And not only that, we have a whole bunch of stuff to do now that we're gone up in size. We can now request some stuff from wrestlers, like get them to move closer to us, and a load of other things that we need to do, but we'll do that in the next episode. But if you've enjoyed this one, make sure you drop a like down below and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss the next episode. Check out all the links that were mentioned at the start of the video, and until next time, peace.